This morning, we're talking about the importance of how our cities are built and a proposed freeway that was never actually built but had lasting impacts. Emily Lieb is the author of this new book, Road to Nowhere: How a Highway Map Wrecked Baltimore. And while this might be an East Coast story, it definitely mirrors some of Seattle's past as well. And Emily joins me now to explain. Hello.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. Okay. Road to Nowhere. What was this proposed freeway all about?
So this is a book, as the subtitle says. I realize I match it.
Amazing.
It's about a map, a highway map. So it's about a road that was never built, but that doesn't mean that the proposal, the map itself, did not cause enormous harm. And exactly as you say, this is a Baltimore story. This is an expressway that the city of Baltimore proposed to build in the late 1950s and 1960s through a middle-class Black homeowners neighborhood in Baltimore called Rosemont. But this isn't the only city in the country, as yours know, that big urban renewal infrastructure projects like interstate highways threatened to eviscerate often did. And in many cases, those projects themselves were never completed for a series of reasons in Baltimore. Yes, you can see there are many different proposed routes for this expressway through West Baltimore. And they were really, again, designed, the city of Baltimore built a middle-class Black homeowners neighborhood in this part of West Baltimore called Rosemont, and then tried to destroy it, and then failed to destroy it with an expressway, and then sort of went on to destroy it anyway. Basically, is the unfortunate end of the story.
Wow.
But we can learn so much from our history and the choices that we have made, because fundamentally that's everything that we do is a choice, right? Everything that we do in our cities, everything we propose, everything we build, everything we map critically is a choice that we've made to destroy something. And so we need to start thinking about our work in cities as that, not something that just happens, not something that just is. I-5 just isn't, right? It's not where it is just because. It's because we chose to put it there.
Yeah, and so while this is a story about Baltimore, like you say, it's a nationwide story,
exactly,
including right here in Seattle, right?
Exactly right. Yeah. So in Seattle, like in Baltimore, like in cities across the country, after the interstate highway program expanded in 1956, the city proposed and mapped an expressway system. Some of which was built. I-5 through downtown is yes, exactly. And that's the plan of Seattle from, I think, 1963. But as you can see, right, I-5 is not the only expressway on that map. I live in Madrona. The Empire Expressway, or the R.H. Thompson Freeway, would have gone right up MLK, and viewers may be familiar with the ramps to nowhere that used to be in the Arboretum. Those were ramps that were meant to connect that expressway system, which again ultimately was never built, but and they didn't get as far here in Rosemont. The city of Baltimore condemned 1,000 houses, functionally stole them from their owners, and it didn't get that far here for a number of reasons, but houses were still in the path of an expressway. Houses, if your house is in the path of an expressway, you can't get insurance, you can't get a loan, you can't fix your roof, et cetera, et cetera. And so we can still see the scars of these choices. Again, choices. If we know to look, we can still see those scars, those ghosts of those expressways.
Yeah, and what surprised you the most when you were researching this?
Oh, wow, what a good question. Many things. But the thing that actually surprised me the most comes right at the beginning of the book. It's how important schools and school policy is when we're thinking about the way that neighborhoods are created, the way that they grow. I thought, as I think many people might think, that the kind of arrow between school segregation and neighborhood segregation was that, the reason that we have segregated schools is that we have segregated neighborhoods. And in fact, that's sort of been the official position of the Seattle School Board since the 50s as well. But in fact, the arrow goes in the other way. What I learned in Baltimore, and what is also true here in Seattle, is that the school board created segregated schools to create segregated neighborhoods. That was a very deliberate choice that they made. It was a choice that they made. Baltimore was a Jim Crow city, so they legally segregated schools. Seattle was not, but even so, the school board made deliberate choices to segregate schools by the race of their students, and to maintain them that way, to create and hold the boundaries of segregated neighborhoods. And so, it's not just, well, whoops, our schools are segregated in 2025 because our neighborhoods are segregated. In fact, the opposite is true. We have segregated schools because we built segregated. We have to have segregated neighborhoods because we built segregated schools very deliberately.
Gosh, where can people find your book?
Anywhere, Elliott Bay Books, you can get it signed.
Oh, I like that. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much
we really
for having
appreciate
me.
it.
Thank you so much.